Okay, so we've learned how to factor out for 4 terms, and now what I'm going to teach you is how to factor for 3 terms. There's one extra step that you kind of have to pay attention to make sure you can do it. So let's go ahead and look at example 1 on the notes for 3-9. You should have that in front of you. I'm absent today on this Friday, so the substitute should have notes to hand out. They're on these salmon-colored sheets. So make sure you have the notes in front of you. So how do we do this? Basically, I'm going to talk about like how to label this. So when we have a quadratic equation, quadratic means that the biggest degree is x squared. So in this case, we have an x squared, an x, and a regular number. We label the leading numbers, the coefficients, with a, b, and c. So I'm going to tell you right now, just going to show you this, and it doesn't go away. This is information you'll need to remember. So for a, it's 2. For b, it's -1. For c, it is -21. Now, some of you are going to be like, oh my God, mister, where did you get the 1 from? I don't get it. Right here, right in front of the x, is technically a -1. You see that? So I got the 2 is my a, -1 is my b, and c is my -21. So that's how we do this. We have to generate a 4th term. So we have 3 terms here. We're going to create another term, and this is the method to do it. So if you know factor by grouping, this will be relatively easy. So what we do is this. We're going to factor the GCF. Once again, there's no GCF on this original thing. You have to ask yourself, does every number have a letter, a variable? The answer in this case is no. Is there something to factor out of a 2, a 1, and a 21? The answer is no. So for this example, there is no GCF. So let's make sure we write that down. No GCF. Now, whenever we're doing this, you will notice that if you take your notes and keep your notes, a lot of y'all have started leaving your notes on the desk. That's real cute. I've been throwing it away, but these notes are actually helpful, and they tell you exactly how to do these things. So keep your notes, especially for this one. Here's what's going to happen. Make sure your polynomial, your quadratic equation, the one with 3 terms, is in order. Make sure the x squared is first, the x in the middle, and then the 21, the number at the end. You're going to multiply the first and the last terms together. We just want the numbers. So we're going to multiply the 2 and the -21. And this is the process you're going to be using pretty much the entire time. And what you end up with is -42. A -42. Cool. Now you have to ask yourself, think of the factors that multiply to give you -42 and -1. Why are we asking that? You'll see as we go forward. The -1 is our b, and the -42 is what we basically have created ourselves. So think of factors that multiply to give you 42, -42. Here's the deal. I know my factors, y'all don't. So I'm going to go ahead and write down, I have 1 and 42. Cool. I have 2 and 21. Cool. I have 3 and, do I not have this down? 14. Yes, 14. 4 does not go into it. 5 does not go into it. 6 goes into it. 6 and 7. And there we have it. We are at the place where we have found most of our factors, our sets of factors. So 1 and 42. There's no way to add 1 and 42 to basically end up with a -1. We have a 2 and 21. You can't add 2 and 21 to get a -1. 3 and 14, you can't add that to get a -1. But 6 and 7, check it out. So now what we have to do, I recommend ignoring the signs at first. Ignore the signs at first and just find your the big number, the -42. Just find the 42 and then go back and be like, okay, now I know since this is a negative number, one of these numbers has to be negative. So when you look at this answer, you're like, okay, this is a -42 and then this is a -1. What that means is, since this leftover one right here, this one right here is a negative number, it means that the biggest one is going to have the negative. So we have a -7 and a 6. And if you multiplied -7 times 6, you would end up with -42. And then if you added 6 and -7 together, you'd end up with a -1. This is the part that's going to be tricky. This is the part that's going to require thought. This is the part that's going to be hard for y'all. So we are using these two numbers, 6 and -7. And I'm going to rewrite the middle term using these factors. So this negative 1x right there, we're going to rewrite it. Here we go. It's kind of fun, and it's going to be 2x squared, 2x squared minus 7x plus 6x minus 21. And I know some of y'all are freaking out right now. Don't panic. If you notice, if I added negative 7x and 6x together, it would reduce down to the negative 1x. So all I've done is just rewrite this basically. Now the question is, did I write this in a good order? Maybe not. When I'm looking at these, I look at my 2, I look at my 7, and I don't see anything in common here. I see my x and whatever else, and it's like, okay, cool. I don't know if I did the right combinations or not. So this is, again, part of the thought process. So I'm going to go ahead and look at mine, and I'm going to group my 2x squared and my 6x together. So basically, I'm going to rewrite it, and again, you'll get better at this with practice. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this. So 2x squared plus 6x minus 7x minus 21. How do I know to group it like this? I'm just going with my gut instinct. You will basically have, you will get better at this as you do this. And if you make a mistake, just start over. Okay, now I have basically made 2 groups of binomials that have common factors. That's the most important thing. Make 2 groups that have common factors. When I was doing the 2x and the 7x, it just had an x I could pull out. And I was like, that's not enough. So I made common factors here. So again, for those who are completely lost, I want you to remind you that this negative 7x and this 6x, it does add up to negative 1. So all we've done, even though it looks different, this is technically the exact same polynomial. It just looks different. We've just made it, we stretched it out. So now that we have this, I am going to go ahead and do what we already know how to do, which is factor. So on the first one, I can pull out a 2x. So the first one has a 2x. And if you are confused how I did this, you need to go back to 11, October 11th, and watch that video of how I'm doing this so quickly in my head. That's our answer. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. That leaves me an x right here. And then 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then x and an x, it cancels out. You're left with this. So I'm going to go ahead and factor the next one. The next one, they don't have 2 letters, but they do have a number in common. Since it's a negative in the front, we're going to factor out a negative. I'm going to put a negative 7 out there. Negative 7 divided by negative 7 is just a 1, leaving this left over with an x, essentially. Hold on. I hate that. This should be the last video with this stupid tablet. And then negative 21 divided by negative 7 is a positive 3. And check it out. We have arrived, essentially, with our common factors. We did it. Boop and boop. So now it just says factor out the common binomial. And what you end up with is 2x minus 7. 2x minus 7, parentheses, and x plus 3. X plus 3. And check it out. You now have factored this. This is a long one. I'm going to go faster on the other examples.